Yeah, everyone start singing happy birthday to Josh now that it's recording.
And we'll send it to him.
Wow. No one's singing.
You gotta do a countdown first.
Okay,
Yeah, I
well,
was like, doing it.
just
No,
off the
we are
cuff,
not singing happy birthday.
3,
No,
2,
that's cruel and
1,
unusual punishment.
go. He's not
Happy
here.
birthday
to
To
you.
Josh.
Happy
Happy
birthday
to Josh. Happy birthday to Josh.
To the Lebowski.
Happy
Happy birthday to
Josh. To Josh.
Happy birthday,
99 bottles of beer on the
Josh.
wall. 99 bottles of beer. He puts them
He's
down.
never
spins
gonna
around,
listen.
Yeah.
98 bottles of beer
He's
on the wall.
never gonna
No,
see this.
what do you mean 99 lines of code on the whatever?
It'll be like an Easter egg if he ever watches this walkthrough.
He's never gonna watch it. Okay, we're still missing like 10 people. So I'm gonna give it a bit. But yeah, now that we've got more people in here, how's Express going?
I actually enjoy it. That's just me though.
I like it too. It's gonna take me a little while to like get good at it and like memorize the syntax, but like it's kind of fun.
Should I go ahead and do the front end or back end? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a poll. It's way too early and no one's gonna pick back end. So we'll bring it back later. Okay, yeah, which one you like more? A lot more even than I expected. Wow. Dang.
I think once I get more experience with backend, I will like it just as much, but I honestly only focus on front end, so it's really hard for me to even say.
I feel like I was just drugged through React, but then when it was like back end, I was like, oh, okay, I'm back.
Feel like we need more back end to contextualize what's actually going on. And like, I think once we get the SQL and database, I feel like it'll make a lot more sense.
Oh yeah, like it's way too early to do this poll. I'm just stalling because we're still missing people.
I understood back end easier than I did front end.
A lot more, the poll is a lot more even than it usually is. People who like back end more, talk about it. Talk about what you
Express
like.
just seems like
ahead,
I
Andrew.
read that while Luke did explain that Express is supposed to streamline a lot of aspects of setting up a web server, it still seems like a really complicated way to, like a really far more complicated way than necessary to do some simple things.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that's because we haven't yet gotten to databases and other aspects that backends typically interact with. But that's just been the way it felt so far.
Yeah, like Express and like middleware. Think of that as the bridge between like databases and front end. Like I think it's Next Lab maybe. Yeah, building an API like Express, like we'll actually get into building our own APIs and serving that information for the front end to grab and use. It's super cool. Like it's super fun. And then we'll get into like storing information in databases. We're still missing some people. Yeah, backend is really cool. I just prefer front end because that's what we do 90% of the class on. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and start. I think everyone that said they were gonna like everyone that's not here said, let me know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm doing this walkthrough. See, can y'all see this? We all good? On the right screen? Okay, cool. So first thing I'm gonna start off with is they may have, I know they did, but you may remember in their videos, they mention something to make it to where you don't have to type node server/server every time you change something. And they were like, we're not going to show you that yet. I'm going to show you that now. So you can install it globally. So you can just do npm i-g, and it's called nodemon. It'll save your life. And basically, whenever you run node server/server, instead you'll just do nodemon server/server. And that's what I'm going to be using during this walkthrough because I hate not using it. I'll type it in the chat.
How is that easier if you're still going to type that every time?
You only have to type it once.
So it restarts itself or it just keeps it live?
It restarts itself. You'll see when I get into it.
It'll be just like using the live server extension in Visual Studio Code, except it
Yeah.
won't have any bugs, right?
Yeah, except for it doesn't screw us over half the time.
I was going to say I stopped using live server first week because it just caused problems.
I use that system, but I don't know if I use G, like -G. So is that why I keep getting an error?
I'm not sure. -G saves it globally to your computer. So you only have to run that command once, and then you can just use nodemon in any project that you need to. Whereas not installing it globally, it'll just be installed in that project. And you'll have to like npm install it for every project going forward. I'm not sure that it would cause any errors though.
Okay.
I think it would functionally work the same.
It wouldn't work for me. I tried to do node server/server JS, and it wouldn't work. But I did install it with -G. So
Yeah, we can look at it after the walkthrough, see what's going
Okay.
on with it.
okay.
Yeah, another thing that's a lot smaller, but it's still something I do every time because it's less annoying is, let me see into Express Lab. When you do npm init and you have to like skip all that stuff, you know, or like just press enter through like 7 different things. If you just do -y, it skips it all for you. I just do that every time because I don't feel like filling all this out or just pressing enter like 10 times. But yeah, now we're good to start the lab. And like I said, I'm definitely more of a front end person. So I may have to Google a bit more for questions asked. So yeah, I may actually have a long walkthrough. Okay, but yeah, so yeah, create a project using npm init, install Express. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and make the server folder, then server.js, and in here, I'm first going to npm install Express. I'm also getting butchered by pollen. So if I mute a lot, it's because I'm coughing. All right, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and const express equals require express. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull in path and file system. So we're going to use those later. So const path equals require path and const fs equals require fs. So yeah, install Express and create a server that responds to the root get at request @ with hello from the web server side. And first thing that we're going to do with that is we're going to actually access everything that Express has. We're going to do that with const app equals Express. So now we can use all of the Express functions on this app object. We can just go down here and say app.listen. And then we need to give it the port. And I'm just going to say 3000. That doesn't need to be a string, no. And then our callback function. And I'm just going to console.log. I'm just going to copy this. Right. So if we nodemon server/server, it crashed because my reference project is running on 30,000. So I'm going to stop that. We're running again. So yeah, then it responds in here with hello from the web server side. So I want it to show up on the local host. Response to the root get request. Okay, I think it does. So we can say app.get / then our request and response. And we can just res.send hello from the web server side. Okay. So yeah, now we're getting it up here. Do y'all have any questions about this so far?
I'm super happy that you showed us the nodemon because that was really annoying having to stop and restart every time. That's
It
gonna be really nice in the
is
future.
a lifesaver.
Is there anything we need to be conscious of or aware of with that, though? Like, does it cause any issues down the road at some point?
With nodemon?
Yeah.
I've never ran into any issues with it. I just had that one where it didn't work because I had another VS Code open that was running on port 3000. So port conflicts, keep an eye out for those.
I would assume you'd have that anyway without the nodemon if you had another something else on that port.
Yeah, I was saying. And then also nodemon refreshes the back end, but the front end you still have to manually refresh.
Can you explain what the get method is actually doing?
I can try. Yeah, it's basically just looking for kind of like React routing, where it looks for a specific file or like path up here, and then it sends a response with whatever we tell it to send. So we could say /pizza, and then it's going to error out right here because we're not sending it anything to actually put on here. But if we go to /pizza, we get hello from the web server side. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering, like, I don't think he went too much into the difference between get and use. Like, I mean, maybe he kind of showed the difference, but like conceptually speaking, what's going on between the two?
That is such a good question. How would I explain that? Yeah, we're going to hit up Stack Overflow. Okay. App.use is intended for binding middleware to your application. Path is a mount or prefix path and limits the middleware to only apply to any paths requested that begin with it. It can even be used to embed another application. So That's a lot of jargon. The way that I use it as someone who more so knows the syntax than the specific functionality, I guess. I don't think that's a very good way of explaining it, but app.use is used more so for just like kind of like in this lab where we just like send the HTML file and just have it show up on the page. And app.get, let's see. App.get is more so, and this will make more sense once we get into building APIs and using Postman, which is another application that we'll have y'all download. It's in, let's see, what are they? It's like CRUD operations, create, read, update, delete. Yeah, it's more so for like CRUD and it's like get, oh, Haley, what are all the CRUD ones?
All the correct ones.
Get, delete, post, get, put, post, delete.
Oh yeah.
I could not remember post and put. And it's more so for like sending information. That's at least how I look at it. That maybe Josh can explain it 10 times better on Monday question. But get more so for sending information, use more so for sending files. And I'll apologize on Monday if I'm wrong. Yeah, do y'all have any other questions? Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the first part done. So yeah, now use express.static to serve files from a folder named public. So I'll go ahead and make that public folder. Then it tells you to make like a JS file and a CSS file, but I didn't even use them on mine. Like when I practiced this lab before the walkthrough. So for right now, I'm not going to worry about it. So yeah, create on middleware. But yeah, use express.static to serve files from a folder named public. So yeah, and we can do that by using app.use. We would say app.use. I'm going to comment this first part out so it doesn't conflict. So yeah, app.use and then express.static and then path.join. And this is just to get where public folder is. And we're just going to send it public. And I'll put like an H1 hello world. Yeah, let's see. Cannot get. All right, cool. Why can you not get?
You got to back out of your server directory.
Yep, there we go. Great. So yeah, now we're serving that, and so we're putting it on the page, and now we can use it like a normal HTML file, right? Like we can just do JavaScript, CSS on this. So create your own middleware using app.use. That console logs every request.url and passes flow to the next function. So yeah, we can go up here. We say app.use. And then we're going to pass through a function with request, response, and next. Then in here, we can just console.log the request.url. And then say next. And that will tell it to flow on to the next app.use. So yeah, now we've got this down here. If we look at this and we refresh, it tells us what slash we're on. So you can go to slash pizza again. And we're obviously not going to get anything up here because we're not sending anything to slash pizza. But down here, it tells us which file or which path we're on.
Can you tell the difference between request.original URL and just the request.url? Because in the video, he does .original URL. Obviously, it does the same thing.
Just original URL like that.
Right.
I've never
I
seen
think that
one.
I think that largely becomes relevant if a request has to be redirected.
In other words, request.url may be overwritten during internal routing while original URL will remain untouched. So yeah, I don't think that's something that we'll have to worry about like in the class, considering I've never ran into this. But yeah, I guess request.url can be overwritten, but original URL will always, like it'll always be equal to the first URL that we were on. So yeah, comment that out. That's interesting. I'd never seen that before. Okay, so yeah, that's the lab. I'm gonna do the advanced section, but do y'all have any questions about this?
Gary, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you use app.get method, you specify the route. However, when you use the app.use method, you didn't specify it. Would you please tell me the difference?
I want to say app.use just kind of goes to the base. I've never had to specify, or can you specify a route on it? Yeah, I guess it just goes to the base. Wait, does it? Oh, okay, wait, no, that totally. Yeah, because it's not. Let me clear this. I don't remember how to clear it. What is the clear thing?
Yeah, it's just clear. The word clear. No?
TLS.
I could have swore it was clear.
It is.
I thought it was CLS.
I think it is CLS.
Clear
It's
state.
totally CLS. I forgot about CLS.
And I guess in that terminal and Commander, you can just say clear.
Yeah, so if we're on the base, so yeah, you can, I guess it just defaults to just slash, but you can give it a file path because it's not console logging the request.url. But if we go to pizza, it does give it to us. So yeah, I guess I've just never done that before. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So advanced section. So add bootstrap to your HTML. Getting a phone call is probably a scam. Right?
On speaker.
Honestly, I would, but I don't think most of the class would find it funny. Okay, so yeah. Create a form that posts to a route on your Express server. So yeah, we'll just go in here. Need to make sure. Okay, yeah. Just make a form. I'll do the action in a bit. Input. Give it class form control. So, yeah, we got these. Then I'm going to give it a name. And I'll name this one, call it chirp name. No. Give this one's name. We'll call it chirp message. And I'll give them labels. Great. Yeah, we've got this. We also need a button. I'm going to say input type submit. We'll give the value of chirp it. So yeah, this kind of adds context to why if you have a button inside of a form, it like automatically refreshes. This is where that kind of like, it's kind of like, oh, that's why that has that. I'm also going to give this styling. Okay, so yeah. Now, do I want to go ahead and, I guess I'll go ahead and set up the action. So yeah, the action is going to be where we are sending our information. So if we type something in here, we do this, you see it up here, chirp name equal whatever that is, chirp message, whatever that is. If we set the action to just like / contact form, and we refresh this and do this again, we chirp it, it actually sends us to contact form. And then we want to set the method and set that to post. Yeah, we're creating a form that posts to a route in your Express server, and we want to write the values from the form post to a JSON file. And remember to set the action of the form, change the method of the form to post, then create a route that reads the file in response to the results. All right, so yeah. I think we're good in here now. Yeah, let's go back here. I'll leave that commented. Let's see. Start with just app.post. And then we want to post. See, we're sending it to contact form. So we'll post to contact form. And then here we're going to give our callback. It's going to have request and response in it. And let's just try console.logging request. Let's just see what that, why did that get so angry? Oh. Then let's res.send. So we're sending a response and we'll say thank you. So yeah, we send this. I don't think it refreshed. I didn't even notice that. Why is that like that?
It's outside the arrow.
Oh, I didn't even. Where did that second arrow come from? Okay, that was weird. So yeah, if we do that, it looks for the post, it listens for the post that we're sending with this. It's like, okay, so we got this request, which is all of this down here. And then it sends a response, it says thank you. So yeah, I'm not, can I find it in here? Do I want to find it in here? I don't want to do that. So yeah, if we try console logging request.body, can we do that? I want to say it gives us undefined. Yeah, and that's because we need to do another app.use and pass through express.json. And let me try and remember what express.json does. I want to say it works just like parsing.
Hey, Eric, could you have just console logged requests?
Huh?
Could you have just console logged REQ request?
Yeah, that's what all this is.
That's just the request.
Yeah, this whole thing is the request.
Okay. I was trying to like show Engine how to find that in the console, but I thought it was like a property, like how you could like piece them apart, right? But that whole thing is the request.
Yeah, body is somewhere in here, but I think we also have to.
Okay. But she was like, I don't understand what the request is, and I guess that was, yeah, it's that whole thing.
Oh yeah, we don't have to do body parser anymore. Yeah, so express.json basically just parses the JSON that we're getting. We used to have to like npmi like a thing called body parser, but now it has its own thing. And so if we try this again, an empty object, and that's because we have to do one more other thing. And I'm also gonna have to Google that. It is express.url encoded. Then we need to pass through encoded false. And if I had to guess, I'm assuming this just makes sure it's not encoded, but I'm gonna Google this anyway. Turns middleware that only parses URL encoded with the QS module. This is off body parser. I'm assuming it works the same way. If you use express.json, it will parse the body. It won't parse information from the HTML post form. Okay. So basically it just parses the actual information that we're getting. So yeah, if we run this now, we should get, yeah, we get chirp name, and chirp message. So yeah, now that we're actually getting that information, we can start sending it to a JSON file. And we can just start with, let's see, FS. We imported FS up here when I started. Write file. What did I call the file? I just call it log.json. Log.json. And then error in body or error in data. Okay, and then we can. Wait, I'm missing this. Okay, yeah, we need. Okay, I'm thinking of when we read it. Yeah, right here, we need to actually send the data, and it's just going to be rec.body, but we need to stringify it. We need to turn it into JSON for when we send it over there. So JSON.stringify request.body. So let's run this again and see what we get. Get an error. Error is not defined because I forgot to finish this. Now it's going to work. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. I actually mentioned body parser, and we look at log.json, and we got our stuff. All right. Do y'all have any questions about that?
Yeah. Why don't you get a bunch of stuff with just request.body? For mine, I did request.body.email and request.body.name. I would assume the body would have a lot more information in it, but maybe it doesn't.
The body is what I closed the thing. Dang it. The body is just what we're sending. Like the body is specifically like from here what we are posting to it. So we can add however much we want. I can specifically reference it by whatever we give it the name. So the name is chirp name. So I could say request.body.chirp name. And that would work, but body is specifically like what we're telling it to send. Okay, we good?
I was just gonna ask, can I get like 5 minutes after the walkthrough to like ask you a few questions about something?
Yeah, we can. Let's take a late lunch.
I promise it'll only be five minutes.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Hey, can you either copy line 22 in the chat or make your window bigger? Because I wasn't able to get it in my JSON. Let's get that
Yeah, I'll
line, I
send it in
guess.
the chat.
Thank you.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you go.
Okay. Thank you. So with the JSON, with the going to the JSON, I got it to go there, but if I entered in new credentials, it would like reset and I wouldn't be able to log multiples of it. So I would have been able to do that.
Yeah, I'm about to go over that part.
Okay, cool.
Eugen, did you have a question as well?
So Garrett, if you console log request, where is it? Request that body, then the body object will only have two properties, name and email, because those are only two
The only two things that I'm sending.
so it only has two properties, right?
Yeah, I'm console logging it right here.
Oh, I see it now. All right, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, if we have no more questions, I'll go ahead and finish it up. Like Chris said, if I type another one of these, it's just going to replace what I have in here. And the way that I'm going to fix that is before we write, I'm going to, on the global scope, I'm going to make an array I'll just call it R. And we're going to read the file first. So we're going to say fs.read file. And we're going to read log.json. And then just error and data. We're going to say if error console.log error. And then I'm going to go ahead and parse what we're getting since it is JSON. So I'm going to say we'll call it info equal JSON.parse data. And then I'm going to loop through, or I'm going to for each through info. So I'm going to say info.for each. I don't know what specified contact. Say element. And I'm just going to push to the array what I'm getting from log.json. So I'm going to say r.push element. So that should push it to that. And then right here, I'm going to r.push rec.body. All right, and then I'm just going to pull this up into the read file. And instead of json.stringifying rec.body, I'm going to json.stringify the array and then send that. So hopefully this should work. So if we do this, it crashes info.for each is not a function, probably because we only have one thing in here. And I think there's no way to get around that. So I'm just going to manually put that in there. Then we're going to do this. And then it's going to do that. And that is kind of cheating, just like putting the array brackets around it. But I don't think you're ever going to run into a JSON file with only one thing in it.
Could you concatenate the array brackets or put it inside of the variable somehow? Like in the trying to think of like maybe you can make that a template literal instead of just an open array. I don't know. I'm just throwing out shots in the dark.
We could probably
Like somehow do like array plus like some sort of bracket or something. I don't know.
I bet we could check if info is an array. Maybe if we do like if the type of if type of info equals array, it should return array. I guess we'll find out. Then we can for each else we can just push info. Wonder if that'll work. Then we just push the request.body. So if we delete this, so it's just one object in here. Then we that it crashes. Array is not defined. How would you check if it's type array?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you go back to the code for a second? I was almost finished.
Go back to, well, I mean, the code doesn't work.
Well, the code before you started playing with it.
Oh, yeah.
There's just that error function console I needed. Console.log.
Yeah.
Could you not do, instead of fs write file, do fs append file or append whatever? Is that what you would do, adding new information?
So if we appended to it, Kurt, are you good? Or
Can you
do you
scroll
need-
to the right? Is there anything after console.log or is that it? In there? Okay, I'm good.
The problem with just appending is, so it's going to see this as an array, right? And it's going to append it after the array. So it would be like object right here after the array. It wouldn't put it inside the array. So it would still, it would be kind of running into the same problem. So apparently there is a method that just checks if it's an array, which is so incredibly convenient. We could say if info dot is array. I feel like this is too, like that's too convenient.
It's too obvious.
Info dot is array is not a function. Well, it should return false then. See, array dot is array. Can you only use it on an array? Check whether an object or a variable is an array or not. This is, yeah, JavaScript. Well, I guess it's jQuery.
You have to prepend the capital array, I think, because it's a static method on the array object.
Like that?
I think.
Oh, I see. Array dot is array, and then you pass through info. Maybe I should look at the documentation. So yeah, let's try this again.
Hey.
That's super cool.
Nice.
So does everyone understand kind of how this is working?
Yeah, but can you like copy that method? So like in the chat or something.
Yeah.
What sucks about the
walk
chat
through
is
it
you
one more
can't copy
time?
paste.
Could you go back over? Just real quick.
This what, like over here or?
Like what everything's doing.
Oh, go back
No,
over
like
it.
summarize.
I was like- So yeah, we're reading log.json. We're parsing the info of whatever we're getting from JSON to JavaScript, just regular object. Then we're checking array.isArray, and we're passing through info. So if this is an array, it'll return true. And so if this is an array, we will for each through info and push each element to our array that we made up here. And if it's not an array, then we can just go ahead and push info to that array. And then we're pushing what we're sending at that time to array. So it's at the end. And then we're just writing it back to log.json because log.json overwrites whatever file it's writing to. So this way we read it, save all of this in this array right here, add what we just wrote, and then write it all back to log.json.
So will only the first input be true for the array and then everything else after will be fine?
Like for this?
Yeah, because won't only the first submission be an array and then the rest will just be
So
data?
if we just have nothing in there,
Right.
and we start with this, it crashes. All right. Why would that crash? I guess 'cause
That's
we're
where I'm
reading it.
confused too, because in your first entry, it wasn't an array. It was just one object.
Is it because you're trying to read the file, but it's like empty, so there's no info to parse?
That's what I'm thinking. So maybe if we do if, so we're reading the file and let's see, unexpected end of JSON. I guess we could check if data, let's console.log data and see what we get if we even get this far. So yeah, let's. I'm gonna CLS. I have to kill it. That do we actually get what we're sending? Or wait, we're just consoling right here. Undefined :1. If fs.exists. I want to check it. If fs.read .text equals, okay. I have to sneeze, give me a sec. I lost it, cool. All right, so yeah, I think we can say if fs.read file I guess it would just be .read.
Does it need to be in an array?
For JSON, if it's multiple, then yes.
Was the Reddit, when we used the Reddit JSON, it was all in an array?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Well, don't I look stupid? Which I guess, since it's like, it gets deeper into a bunch of arrays. But since, like in this case, where we're returning one thing with info deep inside of it, it doesn't have to be an array, but in this case where we're returning a bunch of objects, because this is one big object, so it's technically returning one thing with just everything inside of it. But in this case where we're sending multiple different smaller objects, it needs to be an array. Because if we have like, if we just go in here and we say name, we have this object, it's fine. But if we put another one, even if we just put a comma after it, it still errors out. But if
I feel like there would be an easier way to put your JSON data into an array.
Yeah, a lot of the time, you're not going to be like doing this. This is more so just for kind of like, this is like pseudo setting up our own API, honestly. Like when we send it to, we still have, I'm in the wrong lab. When we do this and it responds, that's like basically an API. But most of the time, and we go over it later, you'll be hosting the API like the data from your database instead of a JSON file. Think of the JSON file for this as like a mock database. So a lot of the time you won't be specifically writing to it or reading from it. So let's see if I can get this to work. Assume if do this, then we just want to do these. Else do all of this. Log is empty. FD. Receive type string log.json. I'm afraid that it works for them. Y'all actually want me to do this?
Not
Like,
really, to be honest.
Is it pointless since we're just gonna learn something that's like way more efficient?
I've when we're working with JSON files, I don't think we're ever going to run into an empty JSON file and have to check if it's empty.
Yeah,
So
I'd rather just put the brackets in my JSON.
Yeah.
That's just what I did. And it works.
use. Like, if y'all want me to, I totally will do it. I just think that like we're gonna be here for a bit.
Thanks for
No,
trying.
You're totally good. We can move on. Does it good attempt? Might as well try if you can, right?
Yeah, I got other things to take care of.
I think people are hungry.
Yeah.
Gonna get some lunch.
Great attempt at the advanced section of the advanced section.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, we have a PD session at 1.
Oh yeah, I think we're PD at 1. Let's go ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is totally not gonna last till 1. I've got like maybe 10 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
I say as this doesn't work because I forgot to take this out. Okay. Turner, was you that asked about that? I can look at it while y'all are in the PD or after lunch and see if I can get it working and show you how to do it.
Do what?
If it's empty. Like check if it's empty and then do that.
I don't really know what you're talking about.
Was that not you that asked for that?
I think Christopher initially asked. I just figured it was an easier way to write these objects into array than your 8 lines of code that are added to it.
Hmm. I don't know. If y'all want me to figure that out and like send it to you, I can. Yeah. So create a form. Okay, yeah, create a route, form submissions that reads the file and responds to the results. All right. So yeah, that's all we got to do. 5 minutes. So we just do app.get, and we are going to get /form submissions. Res. And then we are going to fs.read file. We're going to read log.json. Our errand data. We're going to say, so we're getting the data from the file that we're reading. Say let, I'm just going to call it info equal json.parse data. So we're parsing the data that we're getting from JSON to just object notation. We're just going to res.send info. So go back to this. Do that again, sure. So yeah, we're here. We go to /form submissions. We get our stuff. And this right here, basically an API. Because if we looked at the Reddit API, if we look at the Ghibli one, where is it? Studio Ghibli API. Okay, I think we have to go to /. If you look at that, it's just JSON that you can pull from. So like I could go into my JS file and pull this information and then like put it on the page. But yeah, that's the lab.
You did an excellent job, Garrett.
I was
Very
so nervous for this walkthrough.
You had no reason to be. You did great.
Yeah, do y'all have any final questions?
Did you not close the thing just yet? I'm actually copying Santita's right now, 'cause I like this. For code in
Close what,
chat.
the call?
Yeah, please don't close it, because I can't copy and paste.
All
on
right, see
Zoom
y'all.
chat.
All right, here, I'm gonna stop recording. But yeah, well, do y'all have any final questions about the lab?
Antita, you can always post it in the classroom chat. Well,
Bet if I spun up a React app right quick and ran it on localhost 3001, I could actually pull this information.
Jared, it's still recording, by the way.
I know.
Oh,
Do you want me to stop recording? I was checking if there were any last questions. Where is the recording button?